No, the partnership that we wanted to talk about was our jail contract.
Yeah.
You know, and the sheriff can talk about the jail and what the issues surrounding that are. But for us, it was we weren't able to book anybody. And if we were able to book them, they had to be released because of the capacity at the jail and those issues. So it's taken us, close to a year to resolve this. And we've got a contract in place now that it's almost like a renter. You know, we are renting space from the jail. So we have, by default, I guess you could say, our own jail of so many beds that we're renting from them. And we'll use those. And his staff will handle it and manage them. And I think it'll be good for everybody involved. I mean, we'll get a constant number, a constant bill that we'll be able to pay and adjust to. And he'll have a constancy of what's going on with the jail beds.
Yeah. So 7 was about the number, or 9? 7?
Right now it's 7.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really important. And we talk about a year. This has really been going on since 1986. When I was here, and that jail has actually been full since then, if you go back and look at the record on it. And so part of that is that it was difficult for the city to determine, am I going to have a place to bring somebody, or am I not going to? And that's been going on for, like I said, since 1986. And being able to sit down with the chief and the staff and be able to work something out. The issue is on this is, yes, it's a county jail and we wouldn't have to do this. But the issue is, and I talked about it a little bit last week, is these people are committing crimes. They don't know where the city limits are, the county. And generally, it's 1% of the people cause 99% of the problems. And either the chief's got them one day in the city, or they're out in the county, or they're somewhere in between. And so it's just a consistent process for us, and I think it's much better for the safety of the community for both of us.
That sounds really good that this is moving forward.
You know, and we say it all the time, and he echoed it. We share the same bad guys.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't know where the boundaries are, and their call one day is our call the next day. And like I said, it's nice to just have a consistency in place now that we know that if we have somebody causing an issue, we've got a place to house them. And the warrants, it's going to clear up some of the warrants. So it's beneficial to those folks that are actually being able to clear their warrants, too, because it's a revolving door. You know, they get a warrant, they go to court, they don't appear in court. They can't be booked in jail to get them back to court because the jail doesn't have their... So it just revolves, and people's cases drag on and on. This will give some resolve to some of those folks as well.
The other thing to throw out there, and I think is... We've all been working on this, is our alternative sentencing program, because we've always outsourced.
Yeah.
Because we simply just don't have enough room in that jail. That when we get it, I think we've brought back most of the inmates from other counties. We're full right now. And so what we're working on with all of the inmates down there is an alternative sentencing program to where people will be out doing different things, like working in the community, doing different things, so that they're serving their time, but it's not in the jail, freeing up space for people that are violent offenders and those kind of things that we need to make sure are in there. When we're totally there, where I think Wednesday we were really close to having everybody back, we've got 94 beds in that jail, and that's it. That's every single space is full. And it's already full, and so they have the city has their spots now, that they're guaranteed their spots, and now we're going to work on the alternatives to sentencing so that we can maybe even free up some beds, because the cost of, you're talking $90,000-$100,000 a month going out to another agency or another location. It's very expensive.
You guys go talk to the commissioners for both the county and the city on these sentencings, or do you guys connect with the judges themselves and say, are there different ways to do this, or you have to go to the legislature? How do you get to these alternative sentencings?
Well, we set up our own program for that in the county, in the county jail. And we do communicate. We have a morning group that meet with the judges and the prosecutors and all the law enforcement in the area. But ultimately, the prosecutor and the judge make those decisions. The chief and I, contrary to popular belief, when they say, well, the chief or the sheriff let somebody out of jail, we don't let anybody out of jail. That's up to the courts. That should be basic to people.
Their sentence is based with the prosecutor recommendation through the courts. And usually it's the low-risk offenders. And we updated ours, Jerry, who runs our alternative sentencing, does home monitoring in the alternative sentencing, and you'll see her crew out, just like the county crew out, doing cleanups around the area and things along those lines. It's a tremendous service. It gets the people that don't need to be necessarily locked up doing something productive, cleaning up the community that they're involved in. So they pay back theirs, and we get something out of the deal in it, and they go out and help us clean up the area. So.
That, I think, one of the things, in both combined, I think there was something a while back where they needed assistance, and we were able to move our people around just like they can with theirs, just like we do with our law enforcement staff.
Yeah.
We get something just outside the city, and Darrin's folks come out, or we'll come down to the city and help out. We have to with the numbers that we have. On that cleanup. It's kind of a little bit difficult for people to understand. This process this is a couple of weeks. We had 1,000 pounds a day of trash that we were picking up. 1,000 pounds a day, right? That is a lot. And then when the program got halted for a while, you're talking about 1,000 pounds a day of garbage is accumulating out there, and we're able to use inmate labor to be able to go out and do something. And most of those individuals that are in that circumstance, the low risk offenders and things, and they're actually very willing to go out and do something. It's much better than sitting inside, and they feel productive, and we all benefit from that. It's been great for us.
Yeah. Well, yeah, if you talk to Jerry and her crew that comes out during the week, those folks, I don't want to say happy to do this,
Sure.
but like the sheriff said, they're relieved to do it. And some of them you talk to say, I'd rather be doing this than sitting in jail.
That makes sense.
At least they're getting out, they're contributing to the community, and it gives them a positive out of it.
Talk about something we talked about on Monday, some phone call and a visit that you had to your place regarding some allegations that the sheriff's office is deporting people because of these current climates
Yeah.
that
When he
we're
gets a
in.
phone call, I get a phone
He
call.
gets
And
a
you
phone
get the
call.
phone call right after that. What's going on in here? And let's get from the city's perspective, too, on this.
We're not changing the way we do business. And I need to make that clear. And a lot of this stuff that we're hearing is rumors and unsubstantiated things. I have a whole lot of empathy for what's going on in the world right now with the folks and the people that are here illegally or not. Getting out of that political debate, and from the law enforcement standpoint, I don't ask your status, okay? I don't ask, as Casey's put it before, I don't ask whether you're Republican or Democrat, okay? I don't ask your status to be in the country. If you commit a crime, you're going to go to jail. That's the reality. If you're here legally or illegally, it really doesn't matter to us. We're not booking somebody in jail or citing somebody and adding their status to this. I had some folks in my office the morning he called me explaining that they heard rumors of these massive roundups or sweeps throughout the city, and I said it hasn't happened. What's historically happened since I've been here is if ICE, the Immigration Customs, comes into town, they're calling us ahead of time and going, hey, we're here for specific Joe Smith, and this is what we're going to do. We're going to go pick up Joe Smith. We have not had, and I know there's a history behind this years ago in the city, what occurred and in the county, but currently that's not the relationship we're having. So it's not changing the way we do business. We're not out, we're giving everybody the same rights. We're treating everybody as we have all along.
What happens if someone gets pulled over for a minor infraction, taillight out, or something like that? Either they don't have a driver's license, or I believe in the state you can get a driver's license regardless of status currently.
Correct.
So when you go back and you run the numbers or whatever, and it shows up that maybe they aren't here legally, then what happens?
It doesn't show up.
doesn't
that they're
show
not
up.
here.
Nothing? Oh, it doesn't.
You know, I
Okay.
had somebody ask me this question. Well, does it come across your computer? It doesn't.
Okay.
What comes across is if they've had law enforcement contact in our local records, it will come across if they have a driver's license and the status and what state it's issued in. If they're wanted with a warrant, those are what comes across.
Okay.
Criminal, not your immigration status.
That's a good question, because I don't think a lot of people know the answer to that. And we talked a moment ago, when you talk about, and if you're not involved in this kind of stuff, it's kind of hard to understand, but those statutes that come out from the Department of Homeland Security, those are what we call civil statutes, not criminal statutes. So we are not even obligated to do that as a sheriff and a chief. Okay. Now, if an order is issued and it's a federal warrant from a federal magistrate or federal judge, and it says you will do this, it doesn't say you might do this, you have your choice, and it says you shall do this. That's the difference other than they have these other things that are called a detainer, where Homeland Security would be saying, hey, we want you to hang on to this person for 3 days till we can get down there because we know that they're an illegal immigrant. Sorry, that's not a criminal issue for us, and we don't honor that. Now, if it's a warrant from a federal magistrate, yes, absolutely we do that. I think the other thing that's super important, and the chief and I have talked about this a lot, for us, I guess mainly is, at least right now while we're chief and sheriff, is that our concern is if somebody's a victim of a crime, they shouldn't have to be worried about coming in and reporting that to law enforcement because of their status.
Right, yeah.
And that's what I'm going to erase. The other thing I can certainly share with you is during this contact I had with the chief, the person said, well, you've never said anything publicly on this. I've actually got a letter that I wrote in 2014 that went to the federal government, to the state government, on behalf of every sheriff in the state of Washington when I was president of the Sheriff's Association. So yes, we have spoke out on this numerous times, and we continue to do that, but somehow these things keep coming.
Right.
You know, it's really beneficial for me to think, and over the last couple of years of the relationships we've fostered in this community and our outreach that we've done in this community to all areas and segments of this community, it made me happy that some folks who wanted to speak on this showed up at my office one morning and said, hey, we got some concerns.
Yeah.
We need to talk about this. They've even talked about having a march about it. And it's great that we have that kind of relationship in this community where they can come in and say, we're thinking of doing a march. What do you think, Chief? Can you help us? And I tell them, it's our job to protect the people that want to come out and march, just as it is to help the other people. Everybody's got the same right in this. And so it's nice to have those relationships in this community right now to where people are trusting enough to come in and go, here's our issues, tell us what you think.
There's a plus and a minus to a small community. I mean, I've been here over 50 years, and so generally, if my phone doesn't answer, somebody shows up in my driveway. Which sometimes it's a little odd if I don't know somebody and for my family. But generally, you know, within minutes, if something comes out, because growing up here and being here for over 50 years, and a lot of friends of mine that I went from kindergarten to high school with are business owners here. And leadership in the community. And it's nice to be able to have that phone call and be able to immediately, we're not like Seattle where there's a whole bunch of police chiefs and that kind of stuff. And I can immediately, you know, text or dial Darrin and say, hey, what did you hear on this? I need to know. And he's like, oh yeah, I talked about something this morning. And within a few minutes it was resolved. I mean, a whole disastrous thing was resolved and everything was straightened out on the true facts. And so that's advantageous for us.
And the facts are the important part of this that people need to remember with the social media and everything else going on. One thing I found out since I've been here, if you read it on Facebook, it must be true.
Yeah.
It's, you know, I get calls all the time of incidents that occurred on Facebook, and I'm saying that never happened, or let me give you the facts behind it. Even when we put the facts out on Facebook, we'll put out a press information on Facebook, and inevitably somebody gets on there and decides they want to blog on there and say, why did you even put this out?
Yeah.
Because it's information. It's helpful to people. They need to know what we're doing in the world. And frankly, from the detractors, it's nice to see the other people comment on there and say, you know, get over it.
Yeah.
If you don't like it, don't read it or get off of it. And my door's open. If people have concerns about this stuff, come knock on the door. So.
Mason County Sheriff Casey Salisbury, Shelton Police Chief Darrin Moody during our focus on Shelton here this morning. Good to see you guys. Thanks for coming in and
Thank you.
clearing some of these things up.
Thanks.
Anytime.